Hello and welcome back to the Rational Brit. Last week, Chancellor Rachel Reeves delivered a budget framed as the final, necessary repair job for the UK's finances. It was presented as a responsible, grown-up plan to fund public services and lift the economy out of its current sluggish state. But the delivery of this budget was overshadowed by two fundamental issues. The first, an unprecedented, catastrophic leak of the market-sensitive report from the Office for Budget Responsibility, the OBR. And the second, more rational issue, the budget's complete reliance on what can only be described as fiscal fiction to balance the books after the next general election. The question isn't whether the UK needed tax rises. It did. The question is whether this budget is a genuine plan for prosperity or merely a politically calculated path to the ballot box paid for by future pain. The drama began not at the dispatch box, but on the OBR's own website. The watchdog's entire economic and fiscal outlook, containing all the market-sensitive numbers, was unintentionally published about 40 minutes before the Chancellor was set to speak. The OBR has called this its worst failure in its 15-year history. The report confirmed the error was not intentional, but due to two specific configuration mistakes on its WordPress publishing platform. The chair, Richard Hughes, expressed his profound apologies and launched an investigation. But why is this a massive rational failure? The OBR is the independent scorekeeper. Its entire purpose is to provide an impartial, trustworthy assessment of the government's plans. When its forecasts leak, it not only causes market disruption, as we saw with the momentary dip in UK borrowing costs, but it fundamentally undermines the very notion of a transparent, independent economic process. Crucially, the leak confirmed what many experts suspected. The Chancellor was not facing the widely briefed £20 billion fiscal black hole. The OBR's final pre-policy assessment had her on track for a small budget surplus before her policy changes. This raises a major question of political honesty. Did the government deliberately exaggerate the severity of the financial situation in the run-up to the budget to make the tax rises seem unavoidable and heroic? The evidence, as presented by the IFS, suggests the tax rises were a choice, not a necessity dictated by a sudden, devastating forecast. The budget is massive. It is forecast to raise £26 billion in new revenue by 2030, increasing the UK's overall tax burden to a historic high of 38% of GDP. But the mechanism for this tax grab is what demands rational scrutiny. The Chancellor has proudly stated she hasn't increased the headline rates of income tax, national insurance, or VAT. This is true, but it is deeply misleading. The major moneymaker is the extension of the freeze on personal tax thresholds until 2030. This is the definition of a stealth tax. As wages and inflation rise, more and more people are dragged into paying tax for the first time or into the 40% higher rate. The IFS estimates this tax freeze, which began in 2022, will haul 5.2 million new taxpayers onto the books and create an additional 4.8 million higher-rate taxpayers by 2030. Someone on the national living wage will still pay an extra £137 a year by 2030 due to this extended freeze. The rational conclusion here is that the government has used a politically soft target, fiscal drag, to generate the revenue they need, ensuring the tax pain falls heaviest on the so-called squeezed middle, as inflation erodes their real terms income. It's a revenue strategy focused on political survival rather than transparent, comprehensive tax reform. This is where the entire budget's credibility collapses. The OBR confirmed the government's fiscal headroom, the buffer against breaking its debt rules, has more than doubled to £21.7 billion. But how is this achieved? It's achieved by assuming a severe, almost implausible spending squeeze in the later years of the forecast period, from 2027 to 2030. The budget plans a massive increase in public services spending now, but then forecasts real-term spending growth of just 1.3% per year after 2026. This would require cuts in unprotected departments so deep the IFS has dismissed them as simply being undeliverable. This is live now, pay later fiscal policy. The Resolution Foundation called this a stairway to headroom, a path built on promises that will almost certainly be broken once the election is safely behind us. Finally, the long-term prognosis remains grim. The OBR has downgraded its forecast for medium-term productivity growth to just 1.0%, bringing it in line with the Bank of England's pessimistic view. Productivity determines our economic speed limit, our wages, and our living standards. The government has claimed its investment and reform plans will cure this, yet the independent scorekeeper still sees a fragile, vulnerable public finance system burdened by higher debt costs and low long-term growth. This was a budget of political calculation. It was a mix of stealth taxes and delayed spending cuts designed to double the Chancellor's political buffer at the expense of fiscal honesty. The only real certainty it delivered was that the toughest decisions are still to come, and they have been deliberately deferred until after the cameras stop rolling on election night. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think this budget is a necessary evil or a political act of cowardice? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to join the rational conversation. Until next time, this is the Rational Brit, encouraging you to always question the narrative. Good evening.